I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. F it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Here we go. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop here on Monday, November 10th. We're of course broadcasting from the Limback Lumber Studios. We appreciate Limback Lumber. We love Limback Lumber. And you know what else Limback Lumber loves? They love you and they love contractors. They love do-it-yourselfers. They offer free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects. They've got the largest stock moldings in the Northwest. They've got old school service. They have been doing it since 1930. Give them a call, 206-34 or 782-3487. 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbacklumber.com. You can visit me on all social media channels. Please, Puck Sports everywhere except for TikTok, which is Puck_sports. And you can find everything up at pucksports.com, where you can sign up to become a Puck's Posse member. Little as $5 a month. You become a Posse, get access to everything that we do, all the free daily shows plus bonus content every single week. Again, just $5 a month. Coming up on the show today, we'll remember the late Lenny Wilkens, who passed away yesterday. We'll get thoughts on Lenny Wilkens. Of course, Seahawks soaring with a huge victory yesterday over Arizona. Just another one of those, you're taking a nap in the second half. Now they gear up for a hell of a game coming up Sunday down in L.A. against the Rams. Michael-Shawn Dugar will stop on by. And, of course, we wrap up the show with Hey, What the Puck. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, the go-to guy joins us. And he's all brought to you by three powerful sponsors.
That's right. How's my mic working, Puck? Is it working?
It is, but just turn it down a little bit.
Okay. I am brought to
I
you by...
want the people of Puck Sports to understand what I have to deal with daily. At least 3 days a week.
I think a little compassion would be the order of the day here.
See, every day I get ready to go and I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. 5 minutes before the show starts, 3 minutes, then he'll jump on. And then inevitably the mic will work, and then he touches something and it doesn't work. And then he has to go dark. So why did it not work? What did you unplug?
I didn't unplug anything. I found that for whatever reason, it's because all the little fucking cyber gods, said we're going to screw with him again because it's never my fault.
It is never your fault.
For some reason, the mic was muted. Okay. But keep in mind, the last time I used this, it was not muted. And so somebody got in there and said, hey, you know what? We're going to fuck with the guy in Ben, the old guy with the white hair, and we're going to put the mute button on here. That's what they did. I swear to God. There's a lot of people out there that are listening right now probably going, God, Jim Moore, what a fuck up he is. But you know what? There's other people that can relate to what I go through, and they're going, Jesus, that's too bad that Jim has always got some cyber issues, you know, because I do too. I've got cyber issues too. I'm in Linwood. I've got cyber issues. I'm in Bothell. I'm in Federal Way. I've got them too. And so I can really relate to what he's going through. And I wish Puck showed a little more compassion toward Jim, because that's the way I would be.
What about
hosting this podcast.
What about Jim showing Puck a little bit more compassion of having everything working right every time the show starts?
I swear
to God, that?
I've got a buddy who's staying here. I told him like 10 minutes before we started. I go, Brian, look, I set everything up perfectly. It was working last time. I don't touch anything. And then I come back, and then something is always wrong. Okay?
On your headstone, will it read, "It was not my fault"? Will it read that? Jim Moore,
it should.
Devoted husband, father, friend. Yeah. Quote, "It was never my fault."
No, I shouldn't have been fired by 2 radio stations, by 1 golf course. All those things shouldn't have happened.
Never your fault.
Somebody else's fault. Brad Brotherton, you know about Brad Brotherton.
Yes, tell me about
Brad. He's excited about the Cougar football season because we're going to be playing. It's a dad's weekend against Louisiana Tech, Brotherton Cadillac Northwest and Shoreline, and Brotherton Cadillac and Brotherton Buick GMC in Renton. You know, I've told you already, 4th generation family-owned hospitality makes a difference. Visit them at their Renton or Shoreline locations or at brothertonauto.com. Brian Turner, he keeps us all alive with Bright Owl Lighting because his crew will get up there, put the Christmas lights up for you. No ladders. You don't want to be on ladders. You don't want to be hanging over gutters. And you don't want to be untangling all those Christmas light cords. Let Bright Owl Lighting do it for you. For a free estimate, call 360-675-2034 or visit brightowllighting.com. And one more, Matt Baker. We love Matt Baker, the owner of the Angry Beaver in Greenwood. It's a great hockey bar. Happy hour 4 to 6, $2 off the menu items, gluten-free. Check it out. You'll have a good time at the Angry Beaver.
Okay, there we go. We've got it resolved. Big thanks to Brad Brotherton Cadillac, Angry Beaver, Matt Baker, and of course, Brian Turner, Clean Streak, and Bright Owl Lighting. Big thanks to all of those for bringing you Jim Moore on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Well, you know
they probably. You think they get sick of my technical difficulties? The sponsors.
I wouldn't see why.
Or do you think they just go, guys? That's par for the course with Jim. We get it. It's okay.
It just is amazing. It's amazing that it's always the little things that.
I know, but you have other guys who screw up too. Like Condota, he's kind of a goof when it comes to this stuff.
No, Condota's been actually great.
Well, who's had problems? Garofalo?
Nobody else.
No one else.
No one else. Garofalo does it from a moving car, for God's sakes, at times.
Yeah, he does.
Well, obviously we don't start off. We would start off to the Seahawks, and we'll get to the Seahawks. But, boy, and you can speak to this better than I can because Lenny Wilkens is obviously right in your wheelhouse. And for anyone that remembers fondly of 1979, I'm 3 years old. So I don't remember 1979. I don't remember Lenny Wilkens as a player. I remember Lenny Wilkens as a coach. What always, for me, was Lenny Wilkens, the coach of those great Cavalier teams. Those teams that always had to go up in the 80s, mid 80s to late 80s against Jordan and the Bulls, Mark Price, Brad Daugherty. And there were some great teams that he coached, and then went on to obviously coach the Hawks forever, the Knicks. I remember Lenny Wilkens as the coach, and then I think later I remember Lenny Wilkens as the philanthropist and what he gave back to the community. And I've sat down with him many times, interviewed him, have just been in his presence, in his company, and I think the word I keep coming back to, I think, with Lenny Wilkens is regal. Yeah, I always felt when you were in the room with him, it was like part of the monarchy or something. He had that aura about him. Yeah, I knew what type of player he was. I read about him. I've seen pictures. I've seen videos and all of that. But, you when you were sitting with him, you just knew that you were in, the presence of some real NBA royalty. He's on the all-time NBA team. He's a Hall of Famer. The way that people talk about him, the NBA past and present stars. I'm going to get to a video of Doug Christie who talked about him yesterday after their Kings game. I think even the way that he spoke, right? He always had that Brooklyn accent still, that New York accent. And then the way he talked, the rhythm in which he spoke, it was just like mesmerizing to listen to him. But I'm going to shut up because I'm going to turn over to you. You grew up watching him and rooting for him and remembering what he was like, not only as just a coach and someone who gave back to the community, but also as a basketball player.
Well, yeah, you're right, Puck, because I can still remember when Lenny Wilkens was a player for the Sonics and left-handed guy. He could always get into the lane. He had a decent outside shot, but I just always remember him making a little move where he would get to the bucket and finish it off. And so I would pretend that I was him. I lived on Northeast 40th Street in Redmond and followed the Sonics, had a gravel driveway, and just, kids always imitate their favorite players. Well, Lenny Wilkens was one of my favorite players, and I always wanted to be like him as a player. Even though I was right-handed and Lenny was left-handed, I would still try and be him in my driveway. And he was such a great player and just such a great person too. I remember this was 1971, the NBA All-Star game was played in San Diego because the Rockets used to be there before they moved to Houston. And he was the MVP of that All-Star game. And I remember how excited I was as a 14-year-old that one of the Sonics was a All-Star, the MVP of that game. And then, of course, he went on to be a player coach. You never see that anymore. But Lenny Wilkens, if anybody was going to be able to handle that, he was the kind of guy that could do it. And he took over that Sonics team in 1978 that was 5-17. Everybody knows about this history part of the Sonics, but they were 5-18. Bob Hopkins was fired, and they went all the way to the finals that year. It was just sensational. I saw the story, I think Matt Calkins wrote today, that Wally Walker talked about the confidence that Lenny Wilkens instilled in that team. And you would think that, boy, this team 5-18, they're too terrible to go anywhere. And he took them all the way to Game 7. They lost that Game 7 in the Coliseum there in Seattle to the Bullets. And then they came back the next year, of course, and won the championship. So, I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame as a player. He's in the Hall of Fame as a coach. And he should be in the Hall of Fame. Anybody's Hall of Fame is just a great person, too. I love the quote that Jack Sikma had today talking about his kindness. And so Lenny Wilkens, he had it all. He was athletically, coaching-wise, and then as a person. So he's, I mean, just a triple. I don't know. I was just surprised, too. I didn't know that he was ill. We saw him this summer. I didn't know what he was dealing with health-wise. And so it was shocking to get that news yesterday because he looked great when his statue was unveiled. And I'm sure glad that he got a chance to see his statue outside of Climate Pledge Arena before he died, because usually those things happen after someone's gone. And so at least Lenny got to see that. But boy, condolences to his family and friends and everyone who knew Lenny Wilkens, because boy, what a class act in every way he was.
Doug Christie, who was the coach of Sacramento last night, it was when he talked after the game, before he took any questions, he wanted to address the Lenny Wilkens passing course. I think most people know who Doug Christie is. He was, Doug Christie, you forget, of all the great basketball players that have come out of this area, and there's been many, Seattle, Tacoma area. Doug Christie was one of, if not the biggest name to come out of here. He is a legend. I mean, you hear stories about how good he was down there at Rainier Beach. And, he says a lot of what led him to be where he is today is because of Lenny Wilkens.
Just want to send out a lot of love to Lenny Wilkens and his family. A kid from Seattle, 79 championship. Lenny probably doesn't even know that without him, I'm not here. So a lot of blessings,
Do you have maybe a story or a personal moment that you might be willing to share that you remember him the most?
I mean, being from Seattle, the Sonics were everything, and being a kid in the Rainier Valley is pretty tough. So, thinking about one day on the bus, you're riding down and you look over, and I think it was Franklin High School, and I'm sitting on the bus. We're going downtown. We would always bus ride, with these what they call those things, but it was like a voucher that allowed you to, it was called transfer. And if you were slick, which unfortunately I was, you could tweak it and keep going. But I remember that day, it was raining like most times. Look out the window, I'm like, damn. Here comes a Rolls Royce. And it was Gus Williams, and I just said, I don't know what he's doing. I want to do that. That's pretty much the sum of it.
You just tell the impact that the guys in that era, and I hear that a lot from people that are older about that team in particular. Always talk about what were the teams that left the biggest imprint maybe on the city. And, so there's going to be a generation going to look back to 13, right? The Super Bowl team of the Seahawks. But I think that team, for whatever reason, when I listen to people talk about that particular era of sports and that team in particular. And I just there is just something different about that squad, and you'd had to watch it and go through it. And I think for a young person like, Doug Christie, the impact that all those guys had, what makes it sad to not have the league around here anymore, because the winter months here breed basketball players because there's nothing else to do but then to go inside and play basketball. And that's why I think really the rain is the weather has led to so many great players in this area. And what he did, again, as a player and what he did as a coach, what he did for the NBA is minuscule. What he did for people down, especially in the Rainier Valley. His work at the Odessa Brown Clinic is second to none. Right now, we're not to bring politics into it, but I love when people say you can't bring politics into something, but yet this weekend in the NFL game, we brought politics into it. We battle for healthcare coverage for everyone. All he wanted was, I don't care where you are at, what your situation is. His mission of the Odessa Brown Clinic was everybody should have access to healthcare and to medical needs and services. And that will go down, honestly, as one of his greatest legacies that he's ever had. He was just so instrumental in starting that clinic, being a part of it, and giving back to the community. It just he was great. He was just a great person.
Oh, in every way, Puck. In every single way. I mean, what he did for this community, and it was just open arms both ways, a mutual feeling of respect and love for Lenny Wilkens, and Lenny Wilkens had for Seattle too, because he just. I think there was a quote saying that he and his wife, they liked it here. They wanted to move here. They had no intention of moving back to New York or St. Louis, where he'd played before, and so what he's done for the community, like I said, it was just so shocking. I had so many memories coming back thinking about Lenny Wilkens, mostly honestly as a player. I just thought it wasn't like he was the greatest player in the world, but he was one of those guys. He was like 6'1", just kind of a wiry guard that found nooks and crannies to get his shot off. And so I think he was one of those guys that you appreciated that he got the most from his ability. Like, you never looked at Lenny Wilkens and thought, oh man, he could be so much more. He got everything out of his ability. And I just, as a kid, I can still remember growing up, they had these Bob Hubriggs summer camps up at Fort Casey on Whidbey Island.
Sure.
And I remember Lenny Wilkens coming to one of those camps. I was probably 12 or 13 at the time. We slept in the barracks there. It was probably a 4-day camp, something like that. But one of my pickup games, Lenny Wilkens was the coach of our team. And I just was thinking, I just was sitting there watching him, and like when he motioned for you to go in the game or whatever, I'm like going, God, Lenny Wilkens just told me
Lenny
to go
Wilkens
in the game.
just checked me in.
Yeah, I know. So it's just all those things, the great childhood memories. And I still am just in disbelief because he just appeared to be in such good health.
And it's sad. You mentioned, hey, it was great for him to see the unveiling of the statue, which is great. I think it's I'm just really sad that he never got to see the team come back yet.
Oh yeah, because he was at the forefront of that.
He just was. And here's another, and I'm going to swear here. Here's just another fuck you to Clayton Bennett and that whole group. The way they used him, by the way, if people remember that, they used him so bad when they were telling the lie that they were going to try and keep the team here. And Lenny, because Lenny loved basketball, and I think Lenny wanted to believe, and he wanted to do everything he could to have them stay here. I think he got bamboozled by them and allowed it, and didn't allow it, but didn't know any better because he's just wanted to help. And they took advantage of that. They took advantage of his good-natured spirit and his willingness to always help, because he was willing to help them, and they used him. They used him as a.
Well, he probably trusted him and believed in him. Trusted these guys.
And they knew all along they weren't going to keep up, but they needed like a buffer. They needed someone that the city trusted and loved, and they used him. And I'm just, it's too bad and it's sad that he didn't get to see the return of that team. But he was, Anybody ever got to interact with him? And it wasn't much. It was just a handful of times for me, but he just was such a nice guy. He was down to earth, and he was kind to everyone that he encountered. So, again, thoughts to his family, the basketball community, everyone there. Lenny Wilkens, just a real pioneer in the NBA and the pioneer there in Seattle sports. As we switch gears to the Seahawks, I was going to say, meanwhile,
that's already taken.
It is already taken. Jim, this is 2 weeks in a row where I found myself in the third quarter taking a nap, like falling asleep, just like, okay, well, I guess we're going to win this game. It's unbelievable.
It's pretty much in the NFL. You don't see games like that very often, and to have two weeks in a row like that. I mean, the Seahawks were favored by 3.5 over the Commanders. It blew them out yesterday. I think they were favored by 7 or 7.5 at kickoff. Yeah.
And remember how worried I was on Friday about the Cardinals? I think, take the points in the Cardinals.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And because I just thought, the Cardinals have been playing everybody tough. They're 5 losses. I think Harlan yesterday mentioning it on the broadcast by a total of 13 points. And then before you know it, they're down 35. It's 35-0, and the Seahawks are rolling. It seemed to me it was like Ohio State playing an FCS team.
Well, yeah, that's what it felt like to me. You're right. It felt like it just felt like, yeah, you're exactly right. I can't say any better. Felt like a college game.
Yeah, it was a mismatch. Yeah. And you don't see mismatches like that in the NFL. Mm-mm. I mean, the point spreads. You see 14 every once in a while, but boy, most of these games come down to the last 2 minutes, and to see the dominance and again, I know that if somebody's from out of town going, these guys are a bunch of Seattle homers, but typically we're not. We can be critical, but this team has it all, Puck. This team has it all.
Yeah,
and we don't have to ask if they're Super Bowl contenders anymore. What we have to ask is, can they win the whole damn thing? Because they're capable of doing that. You look at who would want to face the Seahawks right now with that defense playing the way it did yesterday and against the Commanders, and you can't really do anything against that defense for 60 minutes anyway.
And this is why I'm so intrigued to see what happens on Sunday, because I think the one last little, it's not a roadblock, but it's a minor little speed bump. As great as they have played defensively, and they have played. I mean, the numbers back it up. And your eyes back it up. You watch how much they're flying around out there, and they're doing this again.
They were swarming the quarterback yesterday.
No Josh Jobe. I don't know why I listed Josh Jobe as the first one, but he popped into my head. So Woolen starts. So Woolen's a pretty good backup to have. Jaron Reed's out for 4 weeks, and Julian Love is out. And you think, God, my God, and Ernest Jones.
And Jaron Reed was a surprise to everybody.
Yeah, that was odd. I practiced all week, and then all of a sudden, he's out for 4 weeks. Jesus, it's like another Ravens situation here again.
But with these guys, it just doesn't matter, it seems like.
Well, Ernest Jones being out, Tyrese Knight comes in. That's the funniest thing about the game yesterday. One, have you seen a blowout like that? No. But then 2, to see 2 exact plays, done exactly the same. Exactly the same. Tyrese Knight batting the ball out right in the hands of DeMarcus Lawrence. I want to see what they do this week against the Rams, because I think that's the last hurdle, the last little test for them. And they're getting the Rams like peak time, like peak Rams football offensively. Matt Stafford hasn't thrown a pick in 6 games. He's unbelievable. That story's amazing to me. He went from he may not be able to play this year. Do you remember that storyline in training camp? Is back to hell, he's thrust himself into the MVP talk right now. Now I want to see what Mike McDonald and this defense. I know they will perform well this weekend. No doubt the Rams will get them a few times, because they should get them. I mean, they're a good offensive team led by a good offensive mind head coach there in Sean McVay, a good quarterback in Matt Stafford. But this is kind of the next little test for this defense. How good are they? We know they're good, Jim, but how good are they? And they're going to find out. Going to find out this weekend. I can't wait for this. Fast forward to Sunday. Should just be just a sensational football game. And again, you're going down there. There's no home field advantage for those guys. They'll be playing like home. It'll be split, and probably be more Seahawks fans there.
No, you can make a case for not just the top 2 teams in the NFC West or in the NFC, the top 2 teams in the entire league facing off against one another.
I agree
there at SoFi. And so I
playing that way.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it and go, well, wait a minute. The Seahawks, what are they? 11-1 on the road under McDonald. So you like that stat. The only thing I think that's most concerning, and I've always loved Matt Stafford too, even when he was in Detroit. I mean, this guy is a certain Hall of Famer. What a great quarterback he is. And
it's funny that some people
I'm concerned that might be the biggest difference, though, aren't you? Of course. And we love what Darnold's doing. The turnovers are concerning. And you know you've gotten away with them against Houston and then yesterday against Arizona, but you're not going to get away with those against the Rams. So it needs to be, it's always cliche to say all that. It needs to be a turnover-free game by Darnold for the Seahawks to have a chance. Well, but they definitely, I still think they've got an edge with Stafford over Darnold. But sure. Boy, it's going to be so close. The Rams are only favored by 2.5. So basically, Las Vegas is saying if this was a game on a neutral field, Seattle might be favored by 1 or a pick 'em. So these teams, it's too close to call, really.
Got to take care of the football. Again, that is a cliche, like the keys to the game, take care of the football. But I mean, they got 8 turnovers in the last 3 games to Seattle, and I think the Rams are number 6 in the NFL in takeaway. So they got to stop bouncing passes off helmets and things like that. And what made that defensive performance yesterday more incredible was you get 2 4th down stands, right? Then you turn it back over. Now I can't remember. I think they held him out of the end zone once or both times. Even when they turned the ball back over. I think maybe one time and they scored a touchdown the other time. But I mean, we're everywhere. It just, there were guys, Drake Thomas coming up and making a hit in the hole. This Ty Okada guy, he's unbelievable, making plays everywhere. Kudos to Tyrese Knight, who again was benched for Drake Thomas. He comes in and fills in for Ernest Jones, and he looks phenomenal. They're playing so fast right now. It's so fun to watch. The running game finally clicked yesterday. They get 200 yards. I'm going to give them the 200 yards. I'm not going to take away the kneel downs. They got 200 yards on the ground. So it's just clicking. It's fun.
Yeah, Charbonnet, that one drive, just single-handedly taking it down the field. And that one run he had for 30 yards or whatever it was, how many tackles did he break on that run?
A lot.
You shake your head. You just look at these guys. And again, the over-under was 7.5 wins for this team.
That's ridiculous.
And you look at them now, and it's almost like you're going to be surprised if they don't win 13 games. Because 7-2 right now, 8 games to go. 5-4 gives you a 12-5 season or whatever. I mean, my math, I'm sucking at the math here, but
everybody sucks at math.
This team's going to win at least 11 and maybe even 13 games.
Mm-hmm.
And no one would have thought that before the season started. So
we all like the over, but not probably where, now the numbers that you're talking about, you probably didn't think that was going to be realistic.
Yeah, but now you look at them and think that they've got a reasonable shot to be to go all the way with this thing. And I don't know who's going to stop them. Who are you concerned about?
Well, I think the team they're facing this week. Yeah, I think the Rams.
Yeah,
and then I think you have to say the Eagles, but okay, they're not going to see the Eagles until the playoffs. But I think the Rams right now, because they're top 5 in like an offense, and they're also top 5 in defense. In fact, I think they're the only 2 teams that are top 5 in both are these teams, the Rams and the Seahawks. But I look at the other teams that are up there. Listen, the Patriots have that record, and maybe we should start believing in the Patriots, but I don't think that would be way off. Or the Colts. They are right now in the NFC as they have to be the leaders. I mean, yes, you're going to mention the Eagles, and the Rams are right there as well. But the Seahawks are doing it each week, and they're doing it in dominating fashion, which is again Sunday just cannot get here fast enough to see these 2 teams play.
And the Rams are doing the same thing. I saw where they've won their last 4 games by 14 points or more.
Oh, they're dominating. Yeah, they're killing it.
Yeah. How about a Seahawks-Patriots Super Bowl? A rematch with the Seahawks and Patriots. And no one would have thought that was possible going into the season, but
sure,
it's possible now.
Yeah, give it to me. Did you happen to see this? We're going to transition to college football. Do you happen to see this Newsweek story on, and yes, Newsweek apparently is still around, on Jedd Fisch?
You know what? I did see that because, my Cougar inside source that I have,
yes.
You always mock me.
Yes.
He sent me that story yesterday.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that Newsweek was still around. And
neither did I.
So I wasn't even sure if this was a legitimate story, but go ahead. Go ahead with it.
Well, according to Jedd Fisch, this came out before they're just it's so fucking funny. They lost to Wisconsin. It's just so funny. It's so
I know, but we lost to the Beavers, and the Beavers lost to Sam Houston State.
I know. That's funny too.
Well, not really.
Well, not funny to us, but funny to them. If I would be making fun of us that we lost to Oregon State, that lost to Sam Houston State, it's funnier now. Yeah. I think this is funnier than shit that they lost to them. Because all week long it was the Cam Clelands of the world. I'm glad we got the college football rankings poll out now. We act real voters. And then they go out and they lay an egg against Wisconsin. Did you see what the quarterback threw for in the game?
Well, I know they used 3 quarterbacks and none of them were any good.
Jim, did you look at the box score?
What were they, 5 for 14 or something?
I think he threw for 20 yards. And won the game. 20 yards. It's hilarious. And then all week long is, we're going to show you who the real UW is.
Keep going, Puck.
Oh,
Hey, can a 3-loss team make the college football playoff?
No, I got such a kick out of it. And then I saw, we were away this weekend and I looked at the phone and I saw the score. And I'm like, oh, it's like 6 minutes left and they were down. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna turn it on because if I turn it on, I'm gonna jinx it. So I'm not gonna watch it. And then lo and behold, they lost because the dipstick head coach that everyone thinks is good decided to attempt a 50-yard field goal in the snow. What a moron!
Well, you could tell when he kicked it that he was trying to hit it a little lower than usual because there was a lot of weather to deal with there. I don't blame the kicker on that one.
Well, yeah, he should have went for it. The team passing wise, this is who they lost to. This is as bad as us losing Oregon State because I think they threw for 50 yards. Combined, their quarterbacks, Wisconsin, were 6 of 18 for 48 yards. They lost. But the Newsweek report is that he wants out of Washington. Is trying to get out as fast as he possibly can. Because his family hates it there. His family moved back to Tucson. He wants out. He's trying to get out as fast as he possibly can.
So if you're him, how do you handle that question if he's asked that? Hey, Coach, he
was asked it last weekend.
But when did the Newsweek report come out, though? Is that new? Is that this week?
Yes, it's new. Yeah.
Okay, so you can follow up with that. Say, hey, Coach.
Who's going to ask him?
Well, I don't know. Somebody, is it Andy Yamashita that covers the team? He could ask it. Dan Rayleigh for SI.com or Christian Capel.
Oh, Capel can answer. Yeah, we'll get Capel on it.
Yeah, on Montlake. Yeah,
get Capel to ask.
Substack thing he's doing there.
Well,
but why wouldn't you ask him that? What about this Newsweek report? And then how would you, if Fisch came to the Puck crisis firm, what would you tell him? How would you tell him to answer this? Hey, Coach, Andy, I'll do it for you. Andy Yamashita from Seattle Times. Newsweek report came out, said you hate living here and you really want to get out of here in the worst way. Any truth to that story that came out this week, Coach?
Andy, thank you for the question. Right now, what I'm concerned about is my wife going back to Tucson, and apparently her and Humberto have gotten back together. And that son of a bitch cut me off with all the money. Now he's stealing Mrs. Fisch. I don't like it. Just that what he should do is how he answered it, I think, last week. You just say, hey, I'm focused on Purdue. I can't control what the outside noise is and what they're saying. We love it here. I love this team. Getting ready for the Boilermakers. And that's all I'm concerned about. That's how you should answer it. Don't say anything. We're here forever and all that crap because everybody knows he's not here forever. Everyone said the same thing when he got hired. He's going to be here until he can leave because that's what he's done. Done it at every single stop. I've maintained it all along. He's an okay coach. I think Washington needs to be okay with him leaving because really, he's an okay coach. He's not great. I laughed when they hired him and all these people got, well, he's better than DeBoer. Okay.
No. Who said that?
Oh, a lot of people. Well, they were in mourning. They were in.
Okay, now here's the problem, though, is that if he leaves, maybe they'll get the next Kalen DeBoer, or maybe they'll get the next Chris Peterson. So there could be an upgrade. And
what I'm saying
and
is
all of this talk of us wanting him to go to Florida, it could backfire on us.
Well, that's you. You wanted to go there. You just want because of the.
Don't you want him to go there too?
I don't. Based on this losing to Wisconsin, I want him to stay.
Do you think he was more disappointed in losing to Wisconsin that his team was out of the playoff race, or that it took him out of the Florida job?
I don't think he's ever was in the Florida job really, but probably it puts a stain on him. All right, Dugar is waiting by. Speaking of UCLA, because UCLA is the rumor team. It's not even Florida; it's UCLA. That's how bad he wants to get.
I think Mrs. Fish should be okay with LA.
That's how bad this guy wants to get out of here. That he'd be willing to entertain that dumpster fire of a job. Because it is a dumpster fire. UCLA is a train wreck.
Okay, it's appealing, though.
Well, it's appealing because it's Los Angeles. And it's appealing to his family. And it's Pasadena. It's California and all that. And then this ridiculous decision they made this weekend. I mean, I honestly mean this. Fuck all those teams that left, but especially that one. Especially that one. Fucking UCLA. Just absolutely like the fact that they were a part to rip apart 100-year-old conference, and then they're not good at anything, nothing. And then now this week they've decided, we're done playing in the Rose Bowl. We're gonna go play at SoFi. Just F them all. God, I hope all those teams burn in a rotten pit of hell, but especially that one.
I like the mood. I like the mood you're in today. You're more salty than usual.
You should go read Canzano. Canzano just took apart all these teams this weekend, except for Oregon. He just said, "Listen, this move is worked out for one team and one team only. The rest of you, idiots." And he's right. They're idiots. Absolute
all those
idiots.
Travel miles. What you're putting those kids through, and then getting half shares until what, 2030?
Yeah. Okay. I got to go. One more thing. We got to talk about this on Wednesday, and then I'm going to leave you with this. Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz. You threw away your careers for $12,000? For $12,000 of betting? That's all you took home was $12,000? Clase had a 5-year, $20 million contract and threw it away for $12,000. Jesus. Idiot.
Gambling.
All right. Yeah,
Addiction.
Gambling sucks.
Yeah, you're not thinking clearly. Yeah.
You're not. Hey, good stuff. Great words there on Lenny Wilkens. Appreciate it. I'll see you on Wednesday.
Okay, Puck. Take care. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. There he is. Jim Moore with us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Brought to you by just a bevy of heavyweight advertisers. A Clean Streak and Bright Owl Lighting. Big thanks to Brian Turner. Brotherton Cadillac. Thank you to Brad. And, of course, big thanks to the Angry Beaver and Matt Baker there for bringing you the go-to guy, Jim Moore, every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right, we talk a little NFL and Seahawks with our next guest. He joins us on Mondays. The one and only Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic. His weekly appearance brought to you by Georgetown Brewery.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
And here he is, Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic. Of course, you can follow Mike on social media at Mike Dugar. Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast. You can listen to that, watch it on all your favorite podcast platforms. And, of course, you can read his excellent work at theathletic.com. And you can read his excellent work because he's got a new book out that came out months ago. Holidays are right around the corner. It's a great stocking stuffer. There it is. Story on the Seattle Seahawks, the franchise. Get it wherever you find your books. Now, I told Jim earlier, Mike, that in the second straight week in the third quarter, I fell asleep on the couch. Okay. You find yourself kind of nodding off a little bit during that game? Just a little, just kind of catching yourself?
I think I got coffee during the 2-minute warning in the first half, just telling myself, oh boy, this might be a snoozer in the second half. Let me make sure I'm going to beat the rush, because a lot of people get it at halftime. So I was like, let me get a two-minute warning. Yeah. This might be a super boring in the second half. And actually, it ended up not being, for me at least. I found some things I really thought were fascinating, both positively and negatively in the second half of that game. But yeah, a couple of the players before I interviewed them, they tend to ask, "Hey, how you doing?" Just casual small talk, and I was like, "Hey, you guys keep doing this. My job's easy. You guys up 30 first 30 minutes. Everybody got a laugh out of that. Yeah, that was a good one. Very easy for me to do my job when they're playing like that.
Never seen a game like that. I've never seen, I don't think anybody's seen a game where you get two defensive scores done exactly the same way. Never seen that.
Yeah, that was nuts. On different blitzes too. They weren't the exact same play either. It just happened to be that the ball bounced their way. And honestly, I'm a cynic, so I kind of view football this way. Honestly, if the ball, that game's a lot closer if the ball just bounces a little differently. The Seahawks put the ball on the ground several times in that game, and the Cardinals put the ball on the ground, and it turned into touchdowns. But Shaheed fumbled, Sam fumbled twice. So the ball bouncing your way does affect the game. But I should say that one of the sayings they like to say in the building is the ball finds energy, and I think the Seahawks' energy is just good because they're playing the right way. They're doing the right things.
Yeah.
They're running the right routes, blocking. They're hitting the right way. And when you do that, generally, your team is rewarded with the ball hitting you right in the face or bouncing right to you in DeMarcus Lawrence's case last night.
They just, you're right. And I think yesterday you finally saw where it, minus the fumble snap. And then again, we get another situation where the ball slips out of his hands or hits the helmet. He must lead the league in having his passes hit someone's helmet. Sam Darnold. I guarantee if there's someone is keeping that stat, he must lead the league in that. But where you saw it all kind of come together, right? Special teams was with Myers with the field goals. I guess you didn't see what's his name, the Dixon.
Michael Dixon.
Yeah, but the defense was great. Offense with the passing game at one point, he's 9 of 10 in the first half for $158. And then the second half, you saw finally the running game, come together, and they end up with I'm going to still give them 200 yards, over 200 yards. I'm not going to take away the kneel downs. They ran the ball effectively, highlighted, punctuated by the drive in the third quarter where it was the Charbonnet show. I thought he was going to pass out on the field, but the first time where you saw it all kind of come together and what they potentially can look like moving forward.
Yeah, that was the best drive of the year to me. And it ended with a field goal. I know they've had some other, I think they've had a game-winning drive or two. They've had some more explosive plays. That was the drive you're alluding to where they went 13 plays, 79 yards, 12 straight runs. It was a field goal drive. It took up over 7.5 minutes, 4 first downs rushing, including a barnyard play. Like that. That's how you get taken seriously in the NFL. Because you can't. When you don't have that, we've seen how these games look. Teams can creep back in. The Cardinals were never going to come back, but they kept having life because the Seahawks kept having to throw the ball because they couldn't run it, and they were turning it over. That ball hit AJ Barner's helmet and then flew right into the hands of a DB. They botched the snap. Sam fumbled again. Sam, he doesn't. I don't know if he leads the league in balls that hit someone's helmet. I do know he's second in the league in turnover rate, behind Tua and just above Geno. So. He is not protecting the ball super well, even if the aborted snap may be more of Olu's fault. But that drive we're talking about is really the best drive of the season. And I don't even think it's that close, really, because of what it means for the future. The players that played well on that drive, Olu played super well. Gray Zabel was blocking super well. The running backs, I think Puck played their best game in terms of making DBs miss. These guys are getting tackled in space way too much this season, which is why you don't see explosive runs.
By Walker, Halani,
yeah, that Halani one was really out there a perfect example of just the difference between an explosive run and a nothing burger. If he gets tackled by that DB in open space, it's like a 3-yard run. We probably don't even remember it happening. It's just it's 2nd and goal on the 6 now. That's it. Instead, he jukes that guy at his shoes and scores a touchdown, and now it's one of the bigger plays in the game. And I think that's what they've been missing from the running backs specifically. Way too much of getting tackled by guys with single-digit jersey numbers that weigh 200 pounds. You just can't have that in this scheme, And I thought that drive. When I wrote that down, I hit my editor up immediately. I was like, that's it. That's what they need to be. Because we know they'd be able to throw the ball to Jax. That's every week. But you just can't do that and put teams away, And if you do, you put Jax in harm's way. You put Sam in harm's way. it's much better, and for your team and for everyone's safety, honestly, when you have a lead, to be able to just hand it to your running backs and bleed 8 minutes.
And I liked some of the new wrinkles and they showed a few little new wrinkles that they have in store for Shaheed. You know, you saw him run a jet sweep. Obviously, you saw him as a wide receiver, punt return, kick return, all that. But what I didn't expect to see was him being, lining up and deep in the I formation and getting a toss sweep. I didn't see that happening. But I like that little, wrinkle that they just showed the rest of the NFL, that they're going to be able to use him in multiple ways.
Yeah, I think everyone enjoyed that, I would imagine. Well, except maybe Ken's agent. That probably was very frustrating. Ken on the
you think Ken's agent, Ken gets a little bothered though every time they get inside the red zone and he gets pulled out?
I can't speak for Ken, but I imagine just from an agent perspective, I don't know his agent, but he has to be infuriated by what we're seeing. No lie, like on that play that Shaheed we're talking about, Ken was out wide and the ball goes away from him. It's like, what is my client doing in a contract year? Playing X receiver while a receiver that just showed up is getting the I formation toss behind the fullback. The third string running back got a goal line carry over him. I mean, it's good for all of these guys, but yeah, you want to just talk about Ken and his perspective, I'd be furious, honestly, especially as a running back. But yeah, I think the Shaheed stuff speaks to like the good side of having wrinkles and not trick plays, so to speak, but like do that stuff, Clint Kubiak. Get creative with Shaheed. Don't ask Cooper Kupp to throw it. Don't ask Jalen Milroe to do speed options. If you want to get creative, yeah, maybe you run the ball to a guy I don't know what he runs, 4.3 or something, probably. Give it to that dude. They had a nice little fake counter play where they spun around and gave it to Shaheed on another run play early in the game. Yeah, that stuff I'm cool with trying out as like gadgety, and I think that is where this offense could take a next step. You asking Jackson to throw the ball backwards, Cooper Kupp to throw the ball forwards, Jalen Milroe to throw the ball sideways. You're asking for trouble, But I thought that was hopefully Clint learned a lot from that game last night, and that this is how you use guys in the quote unquote other ways.
I don't know how much more we want to discuss this game yesterday, just because it was such a blowout. It was over so early, and there was, I think, by the time we've touched on the two defensive plays and just how well Tyrese. Well, I guess we didn't touch on Tyrese Knight. But I want to move on to the Rams here, because I think everybody's just anticipating what this game is going to be, because it's the best game of the weekend when you look at the NFL. Before we pivot to that night, did we know about this heart issue during camp? Was that? Or was that the first time that he talked about it yesterday, the first time that's been publicly revealed?
It's the first time. Yesterday was with Tyrese Knight, the first time that the organ / body part was revealed. Mike McDonald just kept saying undisclosed injury in August. He was saying he has a knee thing, and I don't know if he said undisclosed, but you get the point. He just wasn't telling us. And I mean, I've been around long enough. You have too. When guys say that, typically is like, a heart thing, maybe lungs sometimes as well. Typically something along those lines, if it's not just like a personal family matter. So yeah, Tyrese revealed it was his heart. He didn't say what was wrong, but he actually said the knee was a bigger problem. I think he said he had a meniscus / MCL issue. And that is, it can get overlooked for the young players, just heart aside for a second, just missing time in general. In the summer, we saw it with Reek going into his second year as well. He needed a knee surgery, and he wasn't the same. When you can have a promising rookie year, but you still need reps. You're still young. Tyrese, I think, is like, he's in his second year, but like in terms of snaps, he's still a pretty young player. He really only started the second half of last season as well. Didn't even play the whole year like someone like Reek did his rookie year. So I think there's value in that, and that's how you lost your job to someone like Drake Thomas, who's also playing well. But I think Tyrese, beyond his play per se, is really the latest example of the Mike McDonald culture of like, we're a 70-man team, and everyone from guy 1 through 70 believes that, because there's just so many examples on the team of like, if I just stay ready, take my notes, take care of my body, practice hard, do what I got to do, show up on time, listen to my vets, whatever it is, coach will put me in. I mean, you've coached young people before. Like, they just want to believe that you'll put them in the game. Sometimes it really is that simple.
Yeah,
you just
you're
want,
right.
You just,
Yeah.
And that whether you're 25 years old or 9 years old, you want your coach to put you in the game. And Mike McDonald has everyone believing 1 through 70 that if you do your part, he'll put you in. George Halani is, I guess, an example of that too. He's like, I'll put you in the game. You've been doing the right thing, so here, Here's a goal line carry in the first half. You've earned it.
Well, they're playing great football, and I think everyone just cannot wait for what's in store coming up this weekend, because you got two of the, I think, arguably the hottest teams in the NFL right now. Certainly in the last 2-3 weeks, they've been the most dominant teams of how they've won their games. I mean, I think they showed the graphic last night in NFL Network. I think they're the only two teams that rank top 5 in top offense, top defense in the league. Matt Stafford's playing unreal right now. I mean, I think that's sort of picking 6 games. I mean, you've got 2 elite teams about to square off on Sunday. And I think you and I have talked about this before. The defense is very, very good. Seattle's. How good is it? And again, not tested yesterday with Brissett. Wasn't tested the week before against Jaden Daniels. And I'm just trying to think, you haven't really had a moment where they have faced a really, really, really good offense. Well, they're going to get it this week. I mean, they're going to see it, not only with a quarterback that's playing MVP-like, but an offensive coordinator / head coach that is as good as anyone in calling plays. It's going to be a great matchup on Sunday down SoFi.
Yeah, I think the other game, I thought this would maybe get flexed into Sunday Night Football. Then I looked, and Sunday Night Football is like the Lions at the Eagles or something like that, which is also a very good. Yeah, it's a very good game. You don't flex the Eagles out of Sunday Night Football. That's how you lose your job at NBC. You do stuff like that. But yeah, I think these two teams, the Lions and Eagles, and the Rams and Seahawks, those are the 2 best games of the weekend. They probably mean the most in terms of the NFC race. I would say arguably the Rams and Seahawks means more because the loser is probably looking at going on the road in the playoffs. There's a lot that can happen in the final 7 weeks or whatever, but our playoff simulator at The Athletic, we got one of those now. Cool.
It's incredible. I was on it today. Yeah. It's great. It's phenomenal.
It's fun, right? I was toying with it too last night. Great. So if I have the numbers right, I think the Seahawks, if they win next week, 61% chance of winning the division, which is huge. And then if they lose next week, that number drops, I believe, to 19%. That's about as big as a swing as you're going to get this early in the year. And that makes sense given the magnitude of the game. The Rams are playing great ball. Their defense is very good. The Seahawks offense, is top 5. And the Seahawks defense is top 5. I think the offense, I like to use points per drive instead of points per game, just because you get a game like yesterday where on paper they scored 44 points. Well, the offense actually scored 30, and the 30 is a lot, but that's different than 44. So I think they're 8th in points per drive or whatever, but they have a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. The Rams have both of those things. I think the Seahawks kind of edge in this game might be special teams, honestly. The Rams special teams, I believe, is like, the Seahawks have like the best special teams in the league, as we're seeing. That's before you add a returner like Shaheed. But yeah, this is Puck. Me and Chris Kidd were talking about this last night. This is probably the biggest regular season game in terms of getting where you want to go for your season since maybe that Niners game in 2019 when Marshawn came back in week 17, Sunday Night Football. The winner got the 1 seed, loser got the 5. Loser's season was effectively over. You weren't going to win 3 road games in the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl. The Niners did go to the Super Bowl, right? Because they had the 1 seed. This game feels very similar. If you can beat these guys, you have no boxes left to check. No matter how the game looks, you win 13-10 or 33-30. Winning is going to make you feel like you're the best team in the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it would be another like little mark for this defense and Mike McDonald by being the new guy in this division, to go up against, what's along with Shanahan. You look at McVay, you're talking about one of the premier play callers in the NFL. And so now you've got 2 head coaches on 2 of the hottest teams in the league, but now 2 coordinators on different sides of the ball, right? One offense, one defense, and who can outsmart the other. And it's going to be really fascinating to see how does Mike McDonald, his defense is based, as on trying to confuse the quarterback and trying to confuse and disguise blitzes and coverages and everything that they're doing. How does he do it to Matt Stafford, who has probably seen every single coverage in the history of the NFL? But how can he show him something, disguise something that perhaps he's never seen before, or at least hide it at the last second? I just think the in-game chess match between McDonald and McVay is going to be just great theater.
No, I mean, he was, Puck, I'm looking it up now. I mean, he was hired, Mike McDonald was, basically to beat these guys. You were hired to beat McVay, hired to beat Shanahan. He's lost a couple to Shanahan already, including some at home. He beat McVay last year, but that was with Jimmy G at quarterback. The Seahawks have still never beaten Stafford and McVay together, which is a crazy stat that I love throwing out there, and I will probably several times this week. But even in that year, Puck, that Mike Macdonald just wrecked every good offense in 2023 as the Ravens defensive coordinator. You know who hung a 30 ball on those guys in Baltimore? Matt Stafford and Sean McVay. Went there in the rain in Baltimore. I think they lost because I think a special teams touchdown, like overtime or something. But they weren't like the Seahawks that year who only scored 3, or the Lions that year that only scored 6, or the Niners that peed on themselves on Christmas. Every other offense looked awful against Mike Macdonald. Stafford went up there and said, simulated pressure, real pressure, doesn't matter. Pressure burst pipes. I'm throwing the ball to Puka, and that's going to be the thing on Sunday. So, I mean, a head coach is judged on much more than just one individual game. Sure. And Mike's checking a lot of boxes in terms of culture, some of the stuff I just mentioned, and how he has his guys ready to play, how they play on the road and stuff like that. But I think this is as big as an individual test as one game can probably be. Very similar to last year, Thursday night against the Niners, where they lost. I think this one right here, go be better than McVay. That's why he got hired. Right, because if there's a guy in the NFL, if there's a guy in your division that you can't beat, you will lose your job. We saw Pete got a bunch of guys fired. Belichick probably got 20 guys fired. Sean McDermott has gotten guys fired up there in Buffalo. Andy Reid over there in Kansas City. If there's a boogeyman in your division you can't beat, you will not be employed that long. That's just how it works in the NFL. So if McDonald can beat this guy, go win the division. That's where you really start talking like, yeah, man, this is the dude for the Seahawks now and long term.
All right, as we sit here on Monday, and we'll have all week long to sit there and analyze the game, what stands out to you as one of the biggest key factors, some of the key factors for Seattle to go down there and win on Sunday?
Protect the ball, Sam. Protect the ball, and Clint, run the ball. It's like I find myself sounding more and more like Pete Carroll the older I get and the more football I watch, but it's real, man. It's real. I remember Pete said one time, like, the number of bad outcomes on a drop back outweighs the number of bad outcomes on a handoff. So let's run it, And I was like, it's kind of scared money don't make no money, but he wasn't wrong though. And that is when I see the Seahawks get these leads, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, here it is. Go hand the ball to Ken. You shouldn't. They were really doing their defense Puck a disservice yesterday. Like, those goal line stands should get rewarded with long drives. At least flip the damn field. They're turning over right back on the 8, on the 2. Like, what's going on here? So I think ball security is going to be massive, massive, massive. And on the flip side, I don't think you need to turn Stafford over because he hasn't really done that much. I think 25 touchdowns passing to 2 picks, which is bananas. Just affect him. Affect Stafford. That's it. Get there. Get to him. I saw a lot of gray in Stafford's beard yesterday when his post-game press conference. He ain't moving nowhere, right? Yeah. So go get to him. You can get to him, get around him, affect him. You got a shot because no one throws a perfect ball every time under pressure, right? So I think that's those two things: protect the ball either by running it or just Sam doing his job, and get to Stafford, man. And I think they got a shot.
And we'll have to watch the health if you were tuning into the game yesterday. Devontae Adams leaving, an issue with his back. We'll see how that injury moves forward throughout the week. What about Seattle? I know you'll be keeping an eye on Jalen Sundell. And again, I love McDonald's, like, his go-to answer now for anytime anyone asks about an injury is, well, we don't think it's season ending. That's my favorite thing now. How's so-and-so? Well, we don't think it's season ending. Okay, great. You didn't answer the question. But that's what he said again yesterday about Jalen Sundell, and you saw him at least on TV sitting down there on the bench. I don't know. Hopefully he's okay. He said the same thing about Ernest Jones, and Ernest Jones was seen running and practicing a little bit this week. So hopefully everything is okay with Sundell. Am I missing anyone else? Got a little bit of a scare with Eamon Worry coming out of the game, but I think he said afterwards, I was fine, but initially it didn't look okay. Jaron, let me ask you this before you go. Jaron Reed, did that catch you guys by surprise?
Yeah, because he practiced all week. I didn't know he had surgery, and that sounds like he had surgery again or is about to. So that's a little funky. I know it has to be real bad for someone like Jay Reed not to play. I know Jay Reed well enough to know he'd play with a broken bone, and it sounds like he did against the Commanders. So that was a little shocking. I was surprised how well the front just seemingly was fine without him, because Jay Reed he is a really, really good player. But I do think it'd be real nice to get Ernest and Josh Joe back against the Rams. I think that you just need all hands on deck against that offense right now. Not just the guys who have been playing well. I think that's been the theme of the defense this year, Puck, is that they can put a Tyrese Knight in or a Drake Thomas in, and those guys not only they're not surviving, like Pete used to say, they're thriving. Drake had multiple tackles for loss yesterday. Tyrese Knight had 2 sacks. Ty Okada hit someone as hard as I've seen anyone get hit at Lumen Field yesterday. Like, the backups are not just coming in there and surviving, and I think that is important. However, they were the backups for a reason in some cases, and I just think that it would be nice to have Josh Joe back. I think they really need Ernest Jones. He's gonna play with his head on fire, playing against McVay. So there's that element there for Ernest, So
and Kupp, I'm gonna be excited to see how Cooper Kupp responds. That didn't end right between Kupp and that organization.
Yeah, Kupp too as well. Oh yeah, no, they basically told Cooper Kupp, hey man, it takes too much to get you open. So we're just gonna move on. And that, whether they were right or not, that was the thing, and so they moved on. They were probably right, because the Seahawks have since drafted a receiver, traded for one, and the Rams went and got Devontae Adams, who's better. So maybe the Rams were right. But either way, from Kupp's perspective, it's probably like, the Michael Jordan, and I took that personal type of last dance situation. And if he does, maybe that's the fuel he needs to have the game of his life, down there in LA. So yeah, I mean, Puck, we can't talk about the magnitude of the Rams game. We can't overstate it.
No.
This is it. This unless the Rams fall off a cliff after this, you lose this game and you're really behind the 8 ball quite a bit. Mentally, statistically, with the standings. So they really need to get through them.
Your point what you brought up earlier was good. He needs to get through Shanahan and McVay, because and they are, and it's great to talk about them being Super Bowl contenders, and they are. I mean, they're one of the better teams in the NFC. You got to win the division, and you got to beat those guys, because what you said earlier, you were hired to beat those guys. And he's got to go out and beat them. Not beat them with Jimmy Garoppolo, but beat them with Matt Stafford. I can't wait. Can't wait for the game on Sunday. Can't wait to read all of your work at theathletic.com leading up to the game there on Sunday. Of course, you got the Seahawks Man to Man podcast is out. You and Chris Kidd everywhere where you find your podcast and YouTube. Go get the franchise story on the Seattle Seahawks wherever books are sold, and follow Mike there on X at Mike Dugar. Thank you. I appreciate it as always, and go Cougs.
That's right. Go. Oh boy. Yeah. Go Cougs.
We're okay. We got our Louisiana Tech this weekend. We'll be fine.
We didn't lose to a team whose leading passer was their punter, so that's good this week.
That is good.
That was their punter that led Wisconsin, by the way, or their kicker, one of the two. So we didn't have that happen.
That's
there
true.
We go.
That's true. Right. Thank you, Mike.
All right. Appreciate you, Puck. Go Cougs.
Yeah, there he is. Michael-Shawn Dugar from The Athletic. And again, follow him on X at Mike Dugar. Read all of his work, athletic.com. There's the playoff simulator that is up there right now. That's great. You can play around with it, all the different scenarios to give you chances at the division, playoffs, first round bye, everything. It's incredible. And again, holidays are right around the corner. Go get and find his book, The Franchise, the story of the Seattle Seahawks, and of course that great Super Bowl run there by Michael-Shawn Dugar. Before we get to Hey What the Puck on this day in the world of sports, before we go, happy birthday. This is one of my favorite golfers, and I wish he'd come back to the tour, please. I love Jon Rahm. Happy birthday to Jon Rahm, born in 1994 in Spain. Yes, he's on the LIV Tour, but God, I just love Jon Rahm. Everything about him, the swing, the anger, just all of it. I wish he'd come back. Happy birthday to Jon Rahm. Also on this day, November 10th, 1989, the Berlin Wall fell down. How about that? You want a piece of little history? Berlin Wall came crashing down on this day on November 10th. Also on November 10th, 1969, we all grew up watching it. We did. We all grew up watching it. Sesame Street. Sesame Street debuted November 10th, 1969. And also on this day, 1963, November 10th, Gordie Howe became at that point the NHL's all-time leading scorer there. Gordie Howe, 1963. All right, that is on this day in the world of sports. And news and notes from around the world. All right. Hey, What the Puck brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. It's your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when these damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them at restoration1.com. Two quick things. One, Lenny Wilkens, just to recap what we talked earlier on the show. As just a great of a basketball player as he was, unfortunately, I didn't get to see him play. Not old enough. Saw his time as a coach. He was incredible. But he was just in the limited times that I interacted with him, and it wasn't much. He just was an even better person off the court, and how he carried himself and what he did, and the importance of giving back to the community in which he did. He made Seattle his home. He was born in Brooklyn, but made this his home, made this his community. And the sports world is better off for Lenny Wilkens. Seattle sports, Seattle basketball, but not just basketball, just Seattle is a better place with Lenny Wilkens in it. And it's sad to see him go yesterday, but he touched many people's lives. And also just a quick shout out. We talked about this on Friday, but want to congratulate, because I can't imagine the group of ladies, group of women, young girls who had to experience what they experienced this weekend and had what they had to experience the past several weeks to go out and to win a conference tournament yesterday. Congratulations, UW women's soccer team, for everything that they had to endure here the last few days, to lose a teammate. We talked about the story there on Friday, Mia Hammett, who lost her battle with cancer, and for them to, carry that all season long with the weight of her, what her status was, on their shoulders and their hearts, and then to go into that tournament, to be obviously one of the favorites, to learn of her passing, and then the next day have to go out and perform, and that's hard. Sometimes they will say sports is the best thing. It takes your mind off of it, and it probably did take their mind off of it a bit yesterday, but then they all recognized her after they won. Congratulations to them for doing that. All right, that's Hey What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One in North Seattle. It lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when you get any damage at all. 206-817-8917. Visit them at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Last thing for you, Puck Survivor. If you're still around, there's only 32 of you left. Only 32 of you left. We started around with 500. 32 are left for the grand prize, which is $500 in cash. Second place is a $100 gift card to John Howie Steak. Third place, $50 there to Georgetown Brewery. Also, fourth place, $50 to Flat Stick Pub. Big thanks to Sandman Sports and sandmansports.com. They got you covered in all things from sports analysis, in-depth articles, podcasts, and expert betting advice. Big thanks to Bill and the crew there at sandmansports.com. 34% of people survived yesterday because they took the Denver Broncos. So there you go. 32 of you are left. Good luck the rest of you throughout the rest of the season. That's it for us on a Monday edition. Big thanks to Jim Moore, the go-to guy as always. Big thanks to all of his sponsors, Brotherton Cadillac, of course, Clean Streak, Bright Owl Lighting, and the Angry Beaver. Jim will be back with us there on Wednesday. Also, Michael-Shawn Dugar. Big thanks to Georgetown Brewery for Michael-Shawn Dugar every Monday. Today's Daily Puck Drop, you can find it up on YouTube. When you're there, please subscribe to the channel, like the channel, leave a comment, try to get to as many as we possibly can. Also, you can find the Daily Puck Drop on all your favorite podcast platforms. Does not matter which one, Apple and Spotify. Of course, if you are watching or listening to this later, we do go live every single day at 10 a.m. on X, Puck Sports, on YouTube. Also, the Puck Sports mobile app. Yes, we've got an app, but on your own phone, you can listen to past shows on there. But the key part of the Puck Sports mobile app is you can listen to the show in your car on the move from your phone. If you download the Puck Sports mobile app to your iPhone, also to your Android phone as well. Of course, you can find everything up at pucksports.com, including signing up to become a Pucks Posse member. $5 a month is all it costs you. You support all the free shows that we do here. Plus, in addition, we give you bonus shows every single week. More to come on that front very, very soon. All right, that's it for a Monday. Coming up on tomorrow, Tuesday's show, we'll talk to John Canzano, all things college football. We'll talk about his article that he wrote over the weekend, why he contends, and he's right, the only move for all these teams that they blew up the Pac-12, it's worked for one team and one team only, that being the Oregon Ducks. We'll talk about that story with John tomorrow. Also, the current state of college sports. And we have Danny Kelly from The Ringers. We talk more football, Seahawks, and everything with Danny Kelly coming up tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. As always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah. I was born to love. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you, but you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We like to sell out, anyway.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!